So about 2 weeks ago, we kept saying, we've written this RESTful service, we've done this, we've done that. And at the end, Trudy came and said, what the hell's a RESTful service? So I'm going to try and explain. So first of all, anyone techie in here, please excuse me. This is kind of layman's terms, hopefully. So RESTful service is not a lazy service. This is a really, really potted summary of what they've got on Wikipedia. Forget it, don't worry, it's confusing me. Right, an API is typically used as a way of getting data out of somewhere you store data, so a database or other source of data. So we use APIs everywhere to make that data accessible. Why are RESTful APIs so popular? Well, they're popular with us because they're kind of human readable, they're human understandable, they kind of make sense how you get the data out of them. This is compared to other types of API that you can get, which historically have been an utter pain to work with. So at least for technical people, they kind of make sense, which is why we like them. Why are they easy to understand, or why do they make sense to us? Because they behave in a predictable way. In REST, we use what's part of HTTP. So we use something called verbs, which are quite literally doing words, and we make use of the URL path. So a REST API is predictable because according to which verb you use and the nouns inside that URL, you can predict the kind of behavior you get back from it. So let's try and explain that a little bit more. Okay, so what are verbs? They are doing words. So in HTTP verbs explain what you're doing. So some of the common ones, there's a few, but the really common ones are get, which means go and get some data for me. Post, which is used when you want to create some data. Put is when you want to update some pre-existing data. And delete is when you want to delete data. There are lots of others too, but those are kind of the main ones that we use. So that's verbs. Nouns are literally names. So if you look in this URL, I mean, you're all pretty familiar with the URL. We use them in APIs too. The last bit there is the noun. So it explains what bit of the API you're accessing. And in fact, a lot of our APIs will often only have one noun. Now that's kind of why they're microservices in a way. They only do one thing. So I'm just going to kind of try and demonstrate with this Noddy service that I put together. It's Noddy because I put it together. So hopefully it will demonstrate what we're doing. So if I can get out of there and bring up Postman. So first example is here, and we're going to do a get against the message noun of this service. And I'm not really specifying anything more than just get me the data. So what it's going to do is go to the service, and in fact, because I've not specified anything beyond message, it's going to return a list of all the messages that sit behind this API. If we go in here, we can do a post. So we're now going to post some data to the service. We're going to create something. So what I'm going to do is post this information. So this is somebody at restful.com. It's Dave at restful.com. And the service we actually do use, we use this to collect messages going through Mailgun. So I'm kind of trying to make sure this doesn't get mixed up with our real ones. So if I post this data, we get a slightly useful response saying, okay, there's an ID of this created now. And we can go back to get now, and I can be a little bit more specific what it is I'm looking for. So rather than just returning everything, I can go and say, right, return Dave at restful.com, curse you. Let's just try restful.com. And we've got our message. So that's a really potted summary of a RESTful service. It's pretty easy to use, it's pretty easy to understand, and it essentially makes sense following some pretty simple rules, the verbs and the nouns. So hopefully that explains it all. If it doesn't, Mark Burton's available after for more questions. That's me. Thank you.
Thank you.